Hello and welcome back to the VictoriousWool podcast. I'm Victoria. I'm a knitwear designer living in the Pacific Northwest. It is almost June. It's been a little while since I recorded an episode because for a while I didn't have a lot to show. And then I thought, we'll just wait because then I'll have more to show once I do like this thing or whatever. this next thing. So I kept putting it off. But now I have actually a lot, so I was totally misleading for sure. Anyways, I hope you've been doing well and you've been happy with your knitting life. I've been struggling to want to knit as much, and I realized I needed to cast on my projects because the couple that I had, which are fun and great, I just needed more. Sometimes I think I need more pressure, or like more to choose from for me to get excited. So I kind of like killed my own energy. I don't know, but I'm back and I have a lot to share. So I'm going to tell you about what I'm wearing first. This is Cumulus Skies. I designed this with Farmer's Daughter fibers, and it's in 2019, I think. This is a crescent-shaped shawl with just two different fibers, two different layers. There's the herringbone layer and then the mohair garter layer. Oh no, it's not mohair. That's right. It's Suri alpaca. I'm trying to remember if I held it double or not. I don't think so. It looks like a single strand. I'm knitting with mohair right now, so my first thought was, I must have held mohair double-stranded, but no, it's a single strand of their Suri alpaca, which I think is called Odang. And then this blue is the Juicy DK. And the colorways were Camp Tolt in the blue, which I think is an exclusive colorway for the yarn shop Tolt Yarn and Wool here in Washington State. And the white, I believe, is Whiskey Butte. So you might be able to get the blue from Tolt directly, or you can go on farmersdaughterfibers.com and they have a lot of really beautiful colors. And I think there's even a colorway called something Moses. I think that's really similar. It just doesn't have the brown in it. Anyways, I've talked about that before in the previous episode too. But it's finally warm enough to get some different knitting accessories out. So I pulled this one out. And probably my favorite way to wear it is like this. So yeah, if you want to make a lightweight shawl for the summer months, for fall, for spring, this is a good choice just because the Suri is very light to use. And the Juicy DK is very bouncy. So it's a fun one. Let's see. What should I show you first? I've made some progress on my big tunic dress, the Gentle Lopi from Melody Hoffman, but I got kind of close to being done and then I decided that I really wanted it to be longer, so I took it out. And it was this weird thing of working on this really, really big sweater that I thought was going to take me a really long time, and it didn't, and I was kind of sad. So I thought, well, I'm not sure that the body is long enough, because you do a split hem when you get past the hips, and the back hem I think is 10 inches and the front is like 7 inches, so they're a little bit different size. But I had finished the front hem and thought, I bet you that I would enjoy it if it was a little longer, and I'm sad that I'm not almost done, so I might as well just pull it out and make it a little longer. I don't know if I've ever had that thought in a knitting project before, but anyways, this is it. And I think I need to add about 6 inches. So it probably doesn't look like I did anything. But I worked on it, I swear. And I added, I think, about an inch last night too. So yeah, it's also a funny thing to work on as we're coming into the warmer months, because I won't be able to wear it right away. So it'll be like, oh, maybe in October, if we get a cold October, then I can wear it then. The next thing that I've been working on is the shore tee, which I believe I showed last time. Has a pretty wide neckline, and it'll be like this. I had finished the front, I think, and I am working on the back now. The only note about this so far is that when I finished the front, according to pattern, I thought that the armhole depth was a little shy. So I added a couple more inches, and then I realized after the fact that that means when I go to pick up stitches for the armhole, like right here, there'll be more material in the circumference, and so I'll have to pick up more armhole stitches. And then that makes the armhole the sleeve will be bigger. And I was like, oh, shoot. I think that through a little bit more. So I left it. I'm going to finish the back, which I'm almost there, like less than 10 rows to go. And then I'm going to put it on my head, pop it over my head, and see where the two meet and see if there's enough space. Because sometimes, like this shirt I'm wearing now is like no, it's like right up in my armpit, which is fine. Sometimes that's not okay, but I think this shirt itself is roomy enough actually that it's not pulling across my chest or pulling across the back of my shoulders. I have another shirt that the armholes are very snug and it's also very small, and so I just feel like I can feel like I'm constricted in it, and that's not a good thing. So I don't want the sweater to feel constricting. If you've got a bunch of wool in your armpit, you're going to sweat more, so that's not going to be good. But I also don't want the sleeve to be super large, so I'm just going to kind of play it by ear, finish the piece, try it on, see, maybe I'll pull out some of that extra 2 inches, but maybe not all of it, and then join in the round, knit a few inches of the body so it feels really secure and established, and then I might pick up a sleeve and then see, and just like do a sleeve and test, because it's always possible to go back up. At that point I won't have too much to rip out, but anyways, there's always something to think about if I start modifying stuff, adding length or anything like that, which is totally worth doing because I often get stuff that fits me better when I do that, but it's just a little risky when I when I realize that there will be consequences for what I've done. The next things I have to show you are some swatches. So I had said last episode that I was going to swatch, and I had all this yarn from Purl Soho. So this is the exact same stitch pattern from the shore tee that I might put into a little kerchief because I like it so much. It's funny when I knit a pattern that I'm like, really like this stitch pattern, and then I want to use this stitch pattern for something else, finish that piece, and then I make the design, and then I'm so done with the stitch pattern because I've been working with it for a really long time that I feel like that's kind of already happening with this one. It's really beautiful, so I hope I have enough stamina to get through the sweater and then this. So I think this is a keeper. Really like this. This is linen quill from Purl Soho, held double, so it's more like a DK. And then I also, it's that same yarn, did this little guy. Didn't get very far because that it doesn't look distinct. Like the stitches don't look crisp enough. It's like a little bit, I don't know. It shows up sometimes when you're knitting something and you're like, it's not good. And then you don't look at it for a while and you go back to it and you're like, you know, actually this is okay. Or this is actually pretty great. So I don't think it's as blurry as I thought it was. It's certainly not as distinct as some stitch pattern yarn combos. And there's this one. Also looks great on camera, is also more distinct looking at it now than it was when I was casting it on. So I just didn't know, I didn't finish these swatches because I wasn't sure if I liked the combination between the stitch and the yarn and whether or not I should choose like more like a smoother yarn. But yeah, it's always It's always a trial. Go back and forth and figure out what it is I actually like. What was it? What I was hoping for? Should I try something else? So I have not moved forward on that project at all because I kind of got stalled. I think I made one other swatch that I didn't like at all. I need to do a couple more and maybe consider changing yarns before I move on with that project. So it'll probably be later in the year. Then I started planning more things for myself. So I switched gears from design ideas to just getting more stuff on my needles, so I felt just had more fun things to work on. Grab the patterns here. So this is a pattern by Susanne Muller. It's called Basic Shirt. And it's just a lovely little t-shirt. And I swatched with, this is Gilead and Ulysses. I have Natura is the company. Gilead is the, sorry, I just said that wrong. Gilead is the worsted weight, and this is the sport weight of this wool yarn. I will write it down below and link it. It's a little difficult because I know that part of it is in French and part of it is in Latin, so that's why I'm not confident in what I'm saying. The color is Cedre, so this is a color I've even used before in the worsted weight version. I made a hat out of it. I got a bunch of balls of this, and I cast on too. Voila! A little ribbon tube thing. This is a weird stage for a project because it's not really anything. So it's hard to feel like confident in it or excited about it, but it is essential because this one's from the bottom up and you need the bottom body first. So I think the yarn is turning out to be a good choice. It's very light. It's knit on a 7, so a sport weight on a 7 does leave nice space in between the stitches, and it blocked really beautifully. I bought a bunch of patterns by Susanne Muller, most of which were tank tops, and I've never really knit a lot. I haven't knit a lot of summer knits. So I have a few t-shirts. I have knit maybe one tank top in linen that I didn't like. I often find that they have a lot of space here. Like they don't fit very well in the upper body and the shoulders. And so it's like, I'm like, well, what bra would I wear with that? Or what underwear because it's, yeah. They just seem to be like they hang lower, and maybe it's like always like, why are the straps so long, or like why is the armhole depth weird or whatever. So I haven't really been attracted to them, and the fact that straps made out of that material that will grow will, like with the linen top, it just really hung down. Absolutely required something else underneath it. So I bought a bunch of patterns from her, kind of more with the intention of wearing them under cardigans, as I have often mentioned, getting excited about that, or like, and for sure knitting them in wool and not in a plant fiber. So I also got the Thea top and the Emma and one other one. Oh, there's a different version of Emma. So I think I got 4 lighter summer things from her. So I don't know if I'll make them all right now. I'm gonna make the basic shirt, and I did get a different color, a different yarn. I was thinking about sport weight yarns that I had used before that I really liked, and I got some Kelleborn wool and Zandora in a purple. There's a purple thing going on in my purchases recently. And I haven't swatched with this or cast this on, but I got 2 different sport weight yarns to make the same shirt. So hopefully I like it the first time around. There was one other pattern that was also in a sport weight, so I thought if I wanted to make that other pattern, I could use this other sport weight. Anyway, sometimes when I get inspired, I just buy everything. But like 7 patterns in one day. Anyways, this is a fun one. I'm just knitting now for like 10 inches, so it's a great project to pull out when I'm gonna talk to someone or watch something, or it's very nice yarn, so it goes really smoothly in the hands. The Lopi is also just stockinette, but it's requires more effort to make those stitches for sure. So this, yeah, it's this one. So this is smells good, but a little bit more effort. Then I had this yarn at home. This to make the Diaphonous Raglan by Jessie May, which is a pattern that was really popular a few years ago. I'm sure people are still making it, but I bought the yarn for it at that time, and then thought of it recently, like, oh, that would be a good one for this time of year. And what I had purchased to make it was blanking. Farmer's Daughter fibers. Actually, this is not the right colorway. This is something else. Purples. I'm getting my purples confused. Okay, so this is Foxy Lady from the Farmer's Daughter fiber in J. Rankin, I think is the colorway. And I also got the Mighty Mo, same colorway. So together, they make, let me see if I can get the, oh, I think it's up there. Together they make the Diaphonous Raglan, which has mohair only sleeves and then mohair and merino held together for the body. And it's really fun. Started with the left shoulder. And it's super, super interesting so far. It's really crazy to knit with the mohair and feel like it's nothing, and then magically it like makes a fabric that's just light as a feather. So I think it's going to go like this. And so this will be the V-neck here. And I'm almost done with this left one, and then I'm going to make the right one, and then you start knitting them in the round. So that's very exciting and just different construction. I haven't used mohair in a long time, so this is fun, very fun. I then ordered another Foxy Lady from Farmer's Daughter Fibers colorway called BSN, which is also purple. It's a little darker. So this is the one that I was holding up with the other one and going, wait, they're not the same. And this, where is it? Is going to be Iris by Melody Hoffman. Here's a picture. I even have it in color. Lucky you. This is knit side to side. You start in the middle and you go to the left, and then you provisional cast on, and you go to the other side and you add the sleeves. So I haven't cast it on, but I did swatch. So here's my swatch of this silk merino from Farmer's Daughter. And it's really nice. I need to unpin it, obviously measure it. I think the gauge looks fine. Gauge with lace weight is so difficult because it opens up so much. I thought it would probably be a good idea for me to measure it before I got it wet, but then I was lazy and didn't do it because I wanted to see how much it naturally was, how big the stitches were naturally before I got them wet. But I think it looks pretty good. It's going to be very light. that project. So yeah, I have a few more patterns here that I haven't cast on yet. But I probably will. I think I showed you, I don't think I showed you this one. What's this one called? This is a pattern I've had for a really long time. And I pulled it out of my Ravelry favorites. It's called Renata's Not So Cropped Tee. And it's, I think, using Aran or bulky even. Anyways, another pattern using like a very open gauged, but I might use wool instead. Like lots of summer patterns use plant fiber to like a plant blend where they'll use linen and a little bit of wool or cotton together with some viscose or something, and I just don't have those yarns, I guess. And so obviously I can buy yarn, but it's nice to be able to use, especially with like tank tops and stuff, something that I already have. So I was happy to cast on the Diaphonous Raglan because I had that yarn already. So it would be nice if I could knit some of those tank tops with wool, even if it's not summer anymore, which is very likely. I won't necessarily be casting them all on before the end of summer, or I'll cast them on in like August, which is very, very common. So, okay. I showed you some of the yarns I got recently, but I have some more that are not spring yarns at all. Here's the Farmer's Daughter BS in colorway that I got recently for the iris in the skein form. It's just so pretty. This Foxy Lady is 30% silk, 70% superwash merino, so it's a really nice, that iris shrug is going to be lovely in this, so that's something we need to look forward to a lot. I then made a error in my ordering, so I hope this never happens to you. I've done it a couple times now, I think. Never quite so spectacularly, so I thought I would get yarn for this Clara cardigan, also by Susanne Muller. This is a fisherman's rib oversized cardigan. I already have a fisherman's rib cardigan, the Flam, which I knit last year, which I love, but this one's more like oversized, more like a jacket. And I was like, I want to use Plotulopi in that amber, like burnt orange colorway. A friend of mine just made her a gentle Lopi in that color, and so I'm like, oh, and I don't know how much to get because that yarn's not. This is for bulky or super bulky even yarn. And Plotulopi is more like a DK, almost fingering, because it's unspun, so it really collapses down. So people often hold it double or hold it double with a strand of mohair to give it more volume. So I was like, how many plates do I buy? So I ordered like 12 plates. 100-gram plates, and I ordered 2 other colors in smaller quantities to make shipping from Iceland worth it. And then when I got it, I realized I ordered not Plotulopi but Alafoss Lopi for the whole order, so I ordered the wrong yarn, and it comes so far from so far away. I just have to keep it, which is not a huge sacrifice because I do love Lopi a lot. So here's the Alafoss in color 9971. Which has all these beautiful flakes in it of blue and darker orange. So I guess I'm going to use this to make this cardigan. Why not? This is like more close to the gauge of yarn that the pattern called for anyways. I just have so much. I have 12 of them, so I don't think I'm going to need very many. Maybe I might need half of what I actually got. So I'll definitely be either making someone something with this yarn or gifting this yarn in the future. Anyway. I have a lot of those. And then I also got 6 oxblood, which is really pretty. And olive, which is also really pretty. So I did go back and order. I really wanted that Plotulopi in the amber, so I did go buy some. I just bought like 5 instead, and I thought maybe I'll make a different sweater out of it. So I think that's all for yarns that I acquired, all for patterns I acquired. Oh, yeah, I just wanted to, something that I realized recently, or more like I'm experiencing really recently, is the fact that I don't knit right now like I used to, and my other friend isn't really knitting much either. And we've been talking about it a little bit. If you ever find yourself not as interested in your knitting projects, or like losing your momentum, I probably mentioned it. I have a feeling someone asked me, how do you get your knitting mojo back? I think someone's asked me that question before, so obviously I've talked about it before. But casting on obviously is what's helping me right now, casting on different kinds of projects. But I also think it's totally okay just to not make stuff for a while. It's not a race to like knit as many things before you die as possible, because that's sort of what it feels like, especially on social media, of like you gotta always be making something new and flashy, because you're gonna post about it. Even saying that is sort of old, because sort of observations about social media or observations about our current culture of consumerism and how it's always more and more and more and more. Even talking about that sort of feels kind of old. But it is still kind of what's happening. Still pressure to make a lot and to produce quickly, especially, gosh, as a designer, when so many other people are releasing patterns and I haven't released anything in a long time. I don't have anything really in the pipeline either. It just feels like, oh no, I'm a fraud because I haven't done anything in a while, or something like that. I'm just trying really hard to not let differences in this season of knitting less not affect my identity as a knitter, because it's really unnecessary for me to have any sort of crises about making less. And actually, I really was pushing myself to make less for a really long time. So here I am at this place of like making less. Or I was until a couple weeks ago when I casted a bunch of stuff. But that's why it felt like totally okay to cast on 3 projects and possibly a 4th new project, because there's just so much space, and there has been so much space for many months. I really got myself down to 1 project at the beginning of the year, and I really didn't build it up after that. So this is the first time 5 months in that I've had more than 2. So instead of it being overwhelming and like I have so much and I feel the pressure to finish, it's more like, oh, so much to choose from, so much abundance, so much color. One of the reasons too of like being really excited to really delve into a color I've never really knit with much before, because purple was my sister's favorite colorway growing up, so it became my favorite colorway growing up, and then I was sort of like rebelled against that and have hated purple ever since. And now I'm kind of like, all colors are wonderful. They just all have their moments and they go really well together. And I'm thinking lavender and rusty reds will go really well together in the future, some future design or combinations. So anyways, it's really fun to order a yarn I don't normally work with. Okay, I really hope you're working on something and enjoying it. But if you're not, it's okay. I hope that you make it through a difficult project and that it's rewarding, because that is also a thing. Or if you're not enjoying it, frog it. Whatever would be exciting or interesting or helpful. I think right now I'm just going to knit on a different project every day, or maybe a little bit of something in the morning and a little bit of something else in the afternoon, and that will be fun and enjoyable for me and the warmer months now. Generally, when the warmer months come, I'm bogged down with leftover winter projects, and so I never really get around to working on spring and summer stuff until August, and then I get inspired like last minute, and then that project will get done in November. So maybe this year It might be more in time with the weather, so we'll see. It doesn't really matter if that's not how it happens, but it would be different if it did. Anyways, see you later.